Hello, my name is Oscar Rodriguez, and today I will be presenting my speech to make you think a little more about what climate change is and how big of a problem it really is. So climate change, it's a real problem, and it has real effects. It has been affecting us, and it will continue to affect us until years to come. Specifically, climate change is due to the range and differentiation of the CO2 levels in the atmosphere. CO2 is an insulative gas, and sources of CO2 is burning energy power sources or just factories. Then there is also, which contributes to climate change, is the destruction of the ozone layer via CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. CFCs is what destroys the ozone layer, and the ozone layer is the protective layer that keeps us safe from UV radiation and worsening the effects of climate change. It also facilitates wind circulation and weather patterns. So if we have a giant hole in the ozone layer, we'll see extreme differences between temperature and weather patterns. So solutions to how to circumvent climate change is pretty simple actually. According to BBC, reliance of greenhouse gases are widely a factor in the effects of climate change. So the easy solution is to simply stop relying on such greenhouse gas releasing energy sources. In my previous presentation, I talked about coal, and coal is actually one of those energy sources that releases a lot of greenhouse gas, such as sulfur oxides and CO2, which is carbon dioxide. Like I see here, you can see here, making the switch to cleaner energies such as solar or wind power will ultimately be better because that has less pollution and therefore affects the atmosphere less. Another way is also to increase the overall public transportation conscientiousness. So as you can see here, I have a picture of Uber, and basically what that's saying is, rather than having everyone driving their own cars, it is better to create an occupation, such as taxi drivers in New York or Uber, to help getting people off the road and carpooling more. And then of course there's always public transit like the subway or the metro, which we have here, the metro we have here in Orlando, called the Sunrail. And then, the future, in a good scenario, we take into consideration the 3 R's, which is to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And we overall practice more sustainable practices. So as I can see here, this is a blueprint of a greener neighborhood, and these things in consideration will bring about better air quality, regulated normal temperatures, a colder climate overall, because right now we're seeing hotter summers and hotter winters, and taking these practices into consideration will lower the temperatures and help us circumvent climate control. And an overall better quality of life, because if we take care of our neighborhoods and our air and our water sources, then therefore we will live a happier, healthier life. On the flip side, we have the future where we take bad practices and just continue to manipulate it to sort of create a snowball effect. It'll bring about poor air quality, which, as you can see on this graph, actually, this graph is showing the CO2 and the emissions within the Earth and how it has been ramping up progressively. And there's different ways. There's a low growth, a moderate growth, and a high growth, and each one of those scenarios will have different outcomes. And particularly the high emission scenario will bring about much higher temperatures. The summers will just start getting hotter and hotter, and the winters will slowly become less of a winter and more of a summer. We'll just feel summer elongated. And then, of course, everyone's heard of this Great Scare, and again, according to BBC, rising sea levels can be an issue here in the coast of Florida and also actually in the United Kingdom, which is what they were talking about. And this will cause a lot of forced inland migration, where you'll see people actually moving from the UK back into the mainland, like France or stuff like that. Just Western European that are grounded, not islands. And then to summarize, climate change is a real phenomenon and should not be taken lightly. It's a problem that needs addressing, and luckily it has easy solutions. It's just a matter of pitting together and actually doing the work that's necessary. Just remember, try to stay conscientious, and think about, like, what am I doing and how can it help the world as a whole in the future? So next time, ask and question yourself, could this harm the environment? Could me throwing away the plastic water bottle or throwing the plastic and not reusing the plastic bag, could it harm the environment? And if yes, how could it? And if no, just know that maybe it's still better to reduce, reuse, and recycle in the long run. This has been my presentation about climate change and how we can control the climate through better practices. Thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions?
Question, guys?
No.
No question?
You did really good.
No question.
Thank you.